everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and today I'm so tickled. I'm so excited. I can't wait because I just know it's going to be entertaining. I have with me Mr. Wayne McFarland. He is the author of the book, Tales from the Day. Thank you for hanging out with me, Wayne. Thank you. Thank you.
Been looking forward to this, Lana.
I know. Well, we don't have really too much else to look forward to since we're all stuck in the house with this COVID-19 stuff. But
Yeah.
I'll take it. Thank you for hanging out. I'll take it. So you read this book called Tales from the Day. And when I took my first glance at it and I was reading through the chapters, you know, my mouth dropped with the first chapter. Then the second chapter was like, and then the third chapter. I was like, whoa, this is just a life full of experiences and adventures, Wayne. First of all, let me start at the beginning here, because it says that all of this started as you you wandered away from a small Midwestern town. Is that correct?
That's exactly right. And you know, if you don't get out there, you're not going to have any other experiences other than watching the corn grow. And
watching the corn grow. What made you leave the small Midwestern town?
Oh man, and I was on a small farm. I spent a lot of time with my grandfather, and it was kind of a hardscrabble farm, and the closest town was a metropolis of like 300 people, and God, I grew to hate it out there. You think we're social distancing now? Try living on a small farm, you know, but nobody around but cousins who you're fighting with half the time. And the work, now it's agribusiness, but then it was all small farms. And the work was just unceasing. And it wasn't the work I minded so much. It's just, you know, listening to the wind blow, getting prairie fever out there. So finally one day I said, you know, I'm going to die and rot here like an old tree. I got to get out of here. So they left, went off to a larger town, then off to Europe and here and there. And, you know, you get out there like what you're doing with this podcast. Yeah. Things happen. Things come to you, sort of, you know. Then the question is, are you open to receive them?
Awesome. Things happen, things come to you. Now, a lot of us travel around in this world and we go through our life and things just don't seem to happen to us like they happen to Wayne. Sir.
You know, part of the reason I put this stuff down in book form is my wife and I, who's been my partner for a long time, we sold a little company we had here a while back. And I've always loved to read. So I started reading. And I've always enjoyed memoirs and biographies and whatever. So I read a whole bunch of them. And, you know, Lana, most memoirs really suck. I mean, they're really bad. And there's an old humorist who said, a memoir is what you do when you write down all the stuff you should have done, but not the things you did do.
Gotcha.
And I read these and because the memoirs all were sort of, with a crooked smile but straight teeth, I gazed at the horizon and I said, my future lies there. You know, it doesn't happen like that. What happens is, you know, I sat down and I made a list of stuff and I said, you know, I don't know if anybody's interested in the day we pitched the loan shark or we roped a bear or whatever, but that's what happened. And the other thing was that it was considered publishing death to do a memoir that consists of kind of short story chapters linked together with a commonality of, well, got something out of that one. And as it turns out, not so much. And but I thought that's how life happens too. It's kind of like a series of blogs. It's sort of, you get involved with stuff. And so I put it together and the reviews have been kind. So far, so good. You know,
awesome.
We'll see what happens. Yeah.
So, one of the on the back of the book, let me say, as I was reading, getting ready for today's show, it says that you got shot on a road trip So that's my first question. That's my first question. How does somebody get shot on a road trip? But then the second part of that question is, where does the monkey come into play? Was he shooting? Was he in the car? Well, I mean, what is this about?
The monkey was not on that road trip. So that's something totally different. But to answer your question, we, three friends of mine and I, fraternity brothers, and falling under the heading of, looking like white bread in a package. We all piled in the car, and we were going to go to New Orleans and celebrate Mardi Gras. Mm-hmm. So this was during the Civil Rights era, and we made it as far as deep Arkansas. And a car pulled us over one night, and they figured I think we were freedom riders. And they shot us up, shot me, shot my friend, riddled the car full of bullet holes, which, by the way, I tell, my young friends, if you ever want the greatest pickup line in the whole world, get somebody to shoot your car full of holes, and then you can go to people and say, you want to see the bullet holes in my car? Now, I haven't heard that one before, right? So we did a freeway race, and I remember I was a little loopy after I got shot, but I remember seeing the muzzle flashes coming from the car behind us, so they were still shooting at us. And so we made it to a little town, notified that's what you do, right? You're from a small Midwest place. We notified the sheriff, who came down, called somebody, took one look at us, pulled his gun, and threw us in jail. And so this is one of those things where, like, we were just going to New Orleans to have a beer.
That didn't work out too well.
Didn't work out too well. So what finally happened, including a close to the chapter that really affected my whole life, I'll tell you honestly. This is one of those stories. Most of my stories are funny. This one not so funny. Okay. But they held us incommunicado in jail for a week. Wouldn't let us call anybody or anything. And this was the Deep South back in the day, and all the stories are true. I'll tell you. I finally lied to the jailer and got a call out, and 20 minutes later, in comes the sheriff. Now, we'd been there a week, right? And the sheriff, as it turns out, was the brother of Pretty Boy Floyd, a notorious bank robber in the 30s, right? So they take us down for medical attention, which didn't do much good a week later.
Yes.
And so then when we got back, everything was changing. It turns out that 20 minutes after my call, my family called the press and called the president of our college, and the phone started ringing. New York Times and everybody's calling. This was during the time when they were, it's always been bad down there in the small towns, but this was when it was, really bad, people really started to uncover some terrible stuff. Mm-hmm. And one of the calls that really broke it loose was the governor of Minnesota, where I grew up, called. I was mystified. I thought, the governor.
Wow.
So we finally went to what passed for a hearing. And because they were telling everybody that we'd had a gunfight with police, and then they couldn't find any guns. So then they said we robbed somebody with a knife, but they couldn't find a knife. So then they said we used a Coke bottle. There were a lot of bottles in the car, but they were beer bottles. Uh-huh. So we got to this hearing. Lana, you'll love this. Here's this local lawyer and some magistrate. And our lawyer says, well, when do you want these lads back? You've accused them of doing all this nefarious stuff. And we'd like to have them back during Easter break, so they don't have to interrupt their education. Mm-hmm. And the magistrate says, well, Easter's kind of a bad time. My daughter comes home and everything. And I'm thinking, welcome to the justice system, right? And the local lawyer takes us outside, and he said, will you people get the hell out of here? I said, get out of here. Your car is downstairs. I even had to tape some plastic over your back window, which didn't exist anymore. And he said, be out of town by nightfall. And I thought, well, there's a broad hint that we ought to get going, right? So we, 2 days later, we're home sleeping in our own beds. But the real point of the story, I think anyway, is, when I got back, it bothered me. I found out the president of our college had called the governor and gotten the governor to call down there. Mm-hmm. Now, Lana, the amount of political capital that guy risked, he didn't know us. Mm-hmm. And he risked, if we really had done something, the governor and the president of the college, everybody else would have looked like idiots, right?
Yes, yes.
Or if they were trying to put the fix in. So I asked for an appointment with the college president, and he graciously saw me. And I finally just blurted out. I said, "Why did you do it? I'm glad you did it.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you do it? You took such a risk." And Lana, I expected him to say something like, "Well, you seemed like good lads, and you dated my daughter once," which I did. And instead, he got up and he stood staring out the window at one of those drizzly Minnesota days.
Mm-hmm.
And when he turned around, he was weeping. And he told me that his entire family had been murdered by the Nazis. That his mother, who was the head contralto singer in the Berlin Opera, was killed by a bunch of brown shirts on the street. Yeah. And he looked at me and he said, "I got out of there with my brother," said we were 13. So we crawled under the wire into France before it fell. And he said, "I vowed to myself that day that I would never stand by."
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome story.
Yeah. And and the big thing for me, is I got to tell you, until that moment, you grow up in a safe kind of gauze covered community, right? In my bones, I didn't really understand that there's really bad people out there who do terrible things, and they're actually elevated in their communities by doing those terrible things.
Mm-hmm.
And I never really believed it until then, but I believe it now.
Yes, yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And it plays itself out over and over again. It just seems to be something that we can't get rid of in society. Something about human nature. Some people need to feel better than others, and the way they do it is by difference in races and stuff like that. So
it's just ridiculous, and like this kid out jogging who got shot. I mean, stuff like that.
Yes,
just makes you sick, really.
Yes, indeed. We're here at 2020, and you just really hope that it's a storyline that we stop hearing, but it never goes away. Before I forget, because I'm getting up there in my age, so stuff goes fast. So let me ask this.
Don't look for sympathy from me.
Let me ask real quick, because you mentioned that your family called down when you guys were down there. So I'm assuming that this possibly wasn't the first of your adventure stories out there. So I'm pretty sure your family by this point has said, "Oh my gosh, here he goes again." What are the I don't know if it's mom and dad, but what are the parents saying as you're off gallivanting across the country making all of these stories happen? Are they like, if this lad doesn't sit down somewhere?
Well, I think my mother's reaction overall was just, I hope he doesn't get killed, because I've gone off to do this and that more than once. And as you and I know, I like to think we're mature. I think we're mature,
Yes, a little season.
Yeah, that's right. A little salt and pepper there.
Yeah.
That you do learn that you can pick up a hitchhiker and they really are a serial killer. You're immortal, and what could possibly go wrong? So, I think my parents, there was a lot of stuff going on, and you're right. I think nobody's asked me that before. I think you're right. I think the overall thing was just, here we go again.
Okay, so back to the where's the monkey? I never heard about the monkey. Where'd the monkey come into play?
Well, later, before I was married, I had a roommate, and one day I came home and there was a cage in the living room, nothing in it, and my roommate was gone somewhere, probably to some bar or something. And the next day there was a monkey in the cage. So I figured, well, we got to talk. And my roommate did not say so, but he broadly implied that he had rescued the monkey from medical experiments. Now, Lana, we were at a liberal arts college. I mean, which of my professors teaching philosophy?
No cancer studies, right?
No. I mean, who at my college was going to cut up a monkey? The answer was no one.
Oh, gosh.
And I hated the monkey and the monkey hated me. Now, I hated the monkey because it had a bladder problem and would crawl into my bed to sleep. The monkey, I never figured out totally why the monkey hated me, but I think it was because I wouldn't let it drink more than 2 beers. It would steal our guests' beers. And everybody thought it was entertaining because it would lay on the floor and hold his beer bottle up and drink it. It'd be like you or I chugging 3 gallons of beer.
You had
And
an
then
alcoholic monkey. Oh gosh.
and then the monkey, would get really grumpy because it was drunk. And then its bladder problem was worse, if that was possible. So one day we all decided we'll go to California. So we went to Boston.
Wait a minute, hold on.
Exactly. I know, but my roommate's girlfriend had a contact in Boston where she thought she could get a job. But I thought, hey, it's only a 3,000-mile detour because I wanted to go to California. So the only problem was they wanted to take the monkey. And I thought, a week in a van with a monkey? But it worked out okay because the girlfriend swore she would carry the monkey the whole way on her lap, which lasted about 20 minutes until that bladder problem kicked in I told you about. So we got to Boston, and the ladies, my roommate's girlfriend was staying with a lady who I had dated previously, so that was nice. But they decided they would babysit the monkey, and that lasted about 8 hours until their landlord came by and said, "Are you murdering a young child in here? I mean, monkeys really make a lot of racket."
Yeah.
So we took the monkey back in, and our landlord lasted about 10 minutes and said, "Either the noise stops or you stop. One or the other is going to happen here. You're going to leave or the noise is going to stop." So my roommate asked if he could borrow my van, and he took the monkey and he went off someplace. And when he came back, he didn't have the monkey. And I said, okay. And he called this monkey Cheetah. Cheetah. I mean, it's like calling a dog Spot. I mean, who does that, right? So I'm looking at him, and I was glad the monkey was gone. But I said, okay, I'll bite. Where is that beer swilling little SOB? Where's And my roommate says, the monkey puts his hand in his heart. The monkey is in a better place. And I thought, I hated that animal, but I didn't want it murdered, And my roommate said, no, I didn't kill it. And he went on to explain he had given it to the top children's TV show in Boston.
Okay.
And he swore he didn't get paid for the monkey, but he started picking up all our bar tabs and dinner tabs. I was suspicious, exactly. And so I went off to California, and my roommate and so forth and his girlfriend stayed behind. And about a month later, I got a message from the other lady, my ex-girlfriend. And she, in her message, said that the monkey had become the star in Boston. The show was #1. Even adults would watch it because of the stupid monkey. And she closed her message by saying, well, at least one of you made it here in Boston. I thought that was kind of harsh, I swear. So that's the monkey.
Okay, so now we see. So you did finally make it to California, right?
Yeah, I did. Yep.
First stop in California?
First time, and got involved with the media and various things, and the rest, as they say, is history.
Okay. So you mentioned that you have a lady in your life who is your wife. Has she been some of these adventures with you?
Yeah, we get married, and one of my stories is the day Johnny Cash hit on my wife. So she participated in a few of these and knew some of the players.
Okay.
We were pretty different. She got her doctorate in molecular biology.
Oh yes. So she could have used the monkey. She could have used the monkey.
She could have used the monkey. Yeah, that's right. No, you're the first one that's figured that out. She could have used the monkey, but it was long gone by then.
Okay. So how long have you and the missus been together?
Oh man, I gotta tell you, best thing that ever happened to me. 40 years ago.
Awesome. Love it. Now, do you guys have kids, grandkids?
Nope, nieces and nephews by the score.
Oh, by the score. Okay, so you do have some young people in your life. So
Yep.
this will be my next question. As the years roll by, generations become different.
Yeah.
Today's it's different.
Yes.
Today's generation, they tend to spend a lot of their time behind computer screens or on their smartphones, and that is their world. Do you think that they're missing out by not partaking in these adventurous journeys like you did?
Well, I would think so, yes. The more adventurous ones now are doing the kind of thing you're doing. I mean, really, they're doing blogs, they're doing skits on TikTok, and they're doing all this stuff. And some of it is really, really good. Other than writing, which is kind of a solitary experience, I would answer your question with a yes, because, for me, those kind of new experiences, I find them invigorating and kind of joyful.
Okay.
Maybe you can get that through doing a dance on TikTok. I don't know. Okay. But it's possible. I don't know. But not from my perspective, but I go back a ways.
Just a little bit. So do you see Wayne having any more adventures, you and the missus, or just you? Life is still open and available?
Yep, we're still doing good, both in good health, and she owes me a trip to Paris, which I keep reminding her of. So we're hoping that once all this gets over, that although I think it's going to take a virus to do, or
a vaccine, yes,
to really do that.
Yeah.
We're hoping to get out there, take a couple more road trips. What could possibly go wrong?
I don't know. Maybe instead of a monkey, I don't know. Maybe you'll run into a gopher or a raccoon who wants to travel.
Don't start. I don't want to hear it. No.
Traveling bear. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, any more animals in your stories, or no? That the monkey was it?
Well, one of my stories about pitching a loan shark. I suppose that's an animal of sorts.
Yeah, they're definitely so. Definitely so.
So
animals.
That's when I was in local radio, and
okay.
we were going in looking for advertising dollars. I don't know if you want to hear about it or not.
Sure, I love your stories. Yes.
Well, this one's called The Day I Pitched the Loan Shark. Wait for it. Out of my book, Tales from the Day, available on Amazon. Oh, yeah. I love it.
Plug. Ding,
That's
ding,
it. That's it. So I was dealing in local radio, and local radio used to be like blogs. I mean, it was kind of the Wild West. Mm-hmm. And local radio, generally the owners were kind of like carnival people. They were always doing something and never had any money, but they had a lot of airtime. So it was a big deal to trade the airtime for whatever you wanted, lawn chairs or a car or whatever. It'd be like if you had advertising blocks on your blog, and you call up a restaurant and say, tell you what, I'll give you, 2 minutes to run an ad in my blog, and I want free meals for the next.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Barter.
The IRS found out about this though, and they were not pleased. So that's not being done anymore. But anyway, this guy who I knew quite well called me up and said, "Hey, I just bought a little radio station in Las Vegas, and just small. It only covered the city, but unless you wanted to add to your lizard collection, I mean, there's nothing outside of Las Vegas but sand."
Yes.
So he said, "Listen, I got this great idea." So I decided we're not going to sell any commercials for cash. Never mind, no advertisers would buy them. He said, we're going to trade everything. We'll live like kings, and you're going to help me. We'll have free meals, and we'll go to the shows, and we'll do all this stuff, and we won't pay for anything. And I thought to myself, there's a flaw in this plan. And he even offered me a little money, and that tipped the deal. So I went into town. And one day he called me into his office. He was president of the station, right? And he said, we're out of money. And I thought, well, there's a shocker. We're not bringing anything in, right? And he said, we, you and I, me included, we're going to go pitch Big Jim at Big Jim's bail bonds for a year-long cash upfront contract. Now, I was new to Las Vegas, but Lana, even I knew that Big Jim was the most notorious loan shark in Las Vegas. I mean,
And I'm
that's,
assuming this was Vegas was still mafia at that particular time, I'm assuming.
yeah, no kidding. And
Okay.
so I said to him, I'm not sure that's the best idea. And he said, no, it's great. I've even got a commercial. He'd pre-done a commercial. So it was beautiful. This stentorian disc jockey voice and nice music in the background, up-tempo, talking about if you run afoul of the law, call Big Jim's bail bonds, right? So I thought, well, that sounds pretty good. So off we went. And we get to Big Jim's. Now, Big Jim ran the place with his son, Little Jim, who's mean as a rattlesnake. I mean, this guy had the razor cut hair and the whole deal, right? So we go into the conference room and the kid starts in. I don't even know why we're meeting. We're not going to buy anything. And my friend said, I got a commercial for you. And the kid says, we don't want to hear. And Big Jim steps in and says, no, I want to hear it. And so my friend, the station owner, he pushes the button. And Lana, instead of the commercial he played for me, out comes his voice, backed by organ music in a minor key. And this was the dialogue. Have you killed your wife? If you have money in the bank, here at Big Jim's bail bonds, we don't care. Have you hit your mom with an axe? If you have equity in real estate, here at Big Jim's bail bonds, we don't care. And a kid popped out of his chair like a gopher out of a hole. I thought, this kid, he's going to shoot us, And he started stuttering, and he stopped when he heard the strangling noise. And Big Jim was laughing so hard, I thought he was going to have a heart attack. And he said, okay, I'll do your deal. I'll buy your contract. He said, on 2 conditions. My friend is pushing the contract and uncapping his pen, and doing all this. And my friend says, okay, what's the conditions? And Big Jim said, you give me that commercial and there better not be another copy. And the second thing is that you never run anything on the air without my approval. And my friend said, yeah, and the guy signed the contract, wrote a whopper of a check. And I thought, Lana, that he had wanted that commercial to destroy it. But later I was told that he played that commercial at every single party he attended right up until he went to jail. So that was Pitching the Loan Shark.
Amazing. So how long did the radio station stay in operation after this?
Well, actually, a fair amount of time, I think that cast gave him a little boost. And then the station owner was pretty crazy. So he started running shows like Music by Dead People. So he would play, songs from artists who had passed.
Oh, okay.
And then the disc jockey would be, before songs were played, would be explaining in lurid detail how they had passed and all this kind of stuff. And people went crazy. Mm-hmm. And they called in shrieking and yelling. I mean, if you love an artist, to hear them talk about the fact they
that's a little bit
choked on a ham sandwich or something. And so then my friend started the show called Because I'm the Owner. And so he'd get live and people would call in, how could you possibly have done such a thing? And his response always was, because I'm the owner. And that one got so popular that people started buying ads for cash. Go figure. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I think that's the beauty of what we're missing out. Radio back in the day, television back in the day, it wasn't so much of a monopoly. So, right, wrong, or indifferent, you had a wider variety of content.
That's right. It was great. And it was so local. There was one station where how cheap was the owner? The owner was so cheap that you used to be able to get sample jingles, where, the music would play KWDY, blah, blah. And so the jingle company would send you a sample jingle and the song would run maybe, we're the greatest radio station in the Midwest, buy this jingle. So what the owner would do was have the disc jockeys play the music, cut it off where the jingle company had their ad, and then had the disc jockeys sing the call letters of the station. So they got a free jingle. That's the way it was.
That
You
is
know,
great. I think we're
yeah,
really missing out something. So Wayne, before we, because we're closing up here on time, but before we get out of here, I want to ask you about another thing that I found on your website because I am nosy. I search around. You have another book floating around here about you're an author. Don't get hustled. Am I correct?
that's it.
What prompted that one?
Publishing my first book.
So what did you learn? What did you learn?
Well, I actually had a publisher who turned out to be kind of a vanity publisher in disguise. What's going on is that now with self-publishing and Amazon and word processing, everybody and their dog can write a book. And most people think the world is breathless to hear their story when the world doesn't care. It's not, it doesn't want to hear it at all. And there's legions of people out there now, legions, who take those dreams and for a few hundred or a few $1,000s will make them come true, right? It's sort of like, drink a little bleach and cure the flu, or clear the virus. It's kind of
There
like,
you go, right? Right?
yeah. And I consoled myself, or I thought I was pretty sophisticated. I mean, I didn't work in Hollywood and here and there. And my first time out of the gate, even knowing what I was doing, I got hammered. And I thought, there's some really good folks out there that some of them have something to say. So I'll put together this little book and say, okay, if this starts to happen, you're getting hustled. That's all. And so that's what prompted that.
Awesome. Yeah. We need somebody to mentor us and take us by the hand for every aspect of life, because, there are a lot of preachers out there selling snake oil in a little container, and it's just actually
right.
water. Right?
That's right. Did you hear recently about the preacher with the virus who he had a drive-through thing? He was using a squirt gun to, spray him with holy water. I love that one.
This is the craziest time. I have heard so many stories, and you're just like, these people are actually walking this earth. Like these people that have that kind of intelligence are actually, they actually function in society, and you're kind of, ooh, this is scary.
Yeah.
The whole bleach thing, once I read on the news, or, I saw on the news that people were actually downing bleach. I was like, okay, ooh, I hope you're not having children. Okay.
No kidding. It's a genuine Darwin moment,
Indeed. Oh my gosh. But I hope, all the states are starting to reopen, and I'm going to stay inside for a little while longer.
Your family and mine too, Lana, because as I mentioned, my wife's a biochemist, and we're watching this, and states are reopening, and their infection curve is still going straight up.
Yes.
And what I tell people, and it sounds like you tell people as well, is look, the virus doesn't care if you're a Republican or a Democrat.
That's right.
It doesn't care if you want to go have a beer. It doesn't care.
Thank you.
All the virus cares about is infecting more hosts. And if it kills you in the process, it just goes on to another host if they're available.
That's right.
It's stupidity. And the thing that's heartbreaking about it, of many things, is that it's not rocket science. I mean, it's been known for decades, longer, 50 years, 100 years, that if you have a pandemic going on and you don't have a vaccine, there's only one way to stop it. And that's for everybody just to
be still.
Hunker down. Yep. It's the only way. Yeah, that's been known for years. And no amount of political shouting is going to change the facts. Yeah. So I'm afraid we're in for a rough ride here.
Yes, indeed. And I think it's brought to light the sense of entitlement that we as Americans have, because, on both sides of the argument, you have citizens who are saying, well, I have my rights. I should be able to go wherever I want to go.
Yeah.
Okay. But on the other end, on the other side of that, if people don't step in and say, we are doing this to protect you, these same people will look down the line and say, you didn't do your job. You knew there was a pandemic and you didn't protect me as an American citizen, and I have these rights. So it's like, you're darned if you do, you're darned if you don't. So.
Yeah. And well, you go one direction, you may end up dead. And my position is that we're going to get a vaccine.
Okay.
And a bunch of people that are out there are saying, Well, vaccines, the whole anti-vax thing, right? And even if we get one, we're not going to take it. And my attitude about that is fine. You can't, if you don't take it, you may kill yourself, but you're not going to infect me because I'm going to take it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty much my
That's right.
my position.
I'm assuming you didn't agree with the guy down there in Texas, was a senator who said, the grandparents and the seniors there will take one for the team.
And I was shouting at the TV, "You take one for the team," So I went off and do that. My wife comes in and says, "Are you shouting at the TV?" I said, "This guy's from Texas. He deserves to be shouted at."
Thank you. Take one for the team. I was like, okay. Did you have a meeting? Did you guys discuss this?
Yeah. How you picking who's going to take the hit?
That's all. Okay, wait. I'm gonna close up with my random question here. Let's see what we got, and then
all right, lay it on me.
Let's see, and then I want you to tell everybody how they can get in touch with you. So let's see what we've got here. Could you give up access to the internet for a month?
Yeah, I just write a few more chapters.
There you go.
So that's a good one, though. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that you could write a few more chapters. Does that mean there's something else in the works right now?
Well, the original book, Tales from the Day, was 19 chapters, and I added 8 more. And I suspect it's like this creatively with yourself as well. I mean, I sat down to write the 9th, and I thought, I've really squeezed this lemon dry. If I write another one, I had a couple things in mind I could write, but they were stretching. Taking an event like going to a picnic and making some big deal out of it. I thought, I just can't do it. So thinking about maybe trying my hand at some fiction and seeing what happens there. It might be fun.
All right. We'll have to circle back and see how that goes. Okay. Yeah. All righty. So Wayne, please tell everybody how they can reach you, get in touch with you, pick up both of these books, and aspiring authors. So please, because there's so many of them out there. I run into it. Just tell us how we get in touch with you.
Well, thank you very much, Lana. My website is WayneMcFarland.com. No surprise there. Mm-hmm. And Tales from the Day and You're an Author, Don't Get Hustled can be found on Amazon. Amazon would be the best place to look. Also, Barnes & Noble.
Okay. Awesome. Well, I hope that you and your wife continue to have ventures. And I'm wishing, although you guys might not be wishing, that, it's a bear or, you pick up a rabbit or, I don't know, a little fluffy chihuahua or something like that. I think we need some more animals in here. Yes, indeed. Okay, Wayne, I thank you for making time with me. I've truly enjoyed you today.
It was great, Lana.
It has been. You and the wife, you please stay safe and hunker down there with you. And I wish you nothing but health. So thank you. That is all for this week's episode of The Male Perspective. I am your host, Lana Reid, and I will see everybody next time. Oh.